I was scrolling through AliExpress when I saw these bootleg Spider-Man figures listed together, and they are based off Toybiz figures with bogus looking packaging. So I thought I'd check them out, since they cost around $10 only. And here are the 3 figures. The thing about AliExpress is that they usually don't put MOC figures in a box to protect the packaging of the figure. They just use bubble wrap and plastic to deliver it. So if you order a figure from AliExpress with packaging, the packaging usually arrive damaged like this. The packaging is really crazy looking, just like in the listing. I don't even know why the clamshell looks yellowish. I think they are like trying to follow the Toybiz packaging or something. Those Toybiz packaging always yellow over time. The word Spider-Man printed on top is really similar to the animated series. And at the side of it is the word Spider-Man, just like the Spider-Man movie figures. You have the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man picture over here. At the bottom there's a barcode sticker. The hanger of the packaging is really funny looking. You can see a semicircle flap to hang the figure. And the back of the packaging of all 3 figures are exactly the same. It says here, superposable Green Goblin, even though the figures are Spider-Man and Daredevil, and the bio is chock full of grammatical error. Take some time to read it because I think you'll just laugh. They have kind of like instructions of how to play the figures, I guess. Although we don't have the Green Goblin figure. And here, using the whole of the details backside, hang them to the wall. Here are the pictures of the supposed figures in the wave, I guess. And the warning message at the bottom is full of grammatical error as well. The back of the packaging is kind of very similar to the very first Toybiz Spider-Man Classics series. Now let's get these figures out. Here are the 3 figures out of the packaging, and all of them are really terrible. The only one that can stand on its own is Daredevil. And I think this Spidey could have stood on his own if not for the fact that the knee peg actually broke right out of the packaging, and also the peg of the base broke off and got stuck on the foot of the figure. Now let's take a look at the Battle-ravaged Toby Spidey. Here's the Spidey figure. The sculpt on it is actually quite decent. The face is sculpted pretty decently, and the web lines are also sculpted as well, just like the original figure. The tears, however, are painted in skin color. The hands kind of resemble the articulated fingered hands of the original. And at the back of the figure, there's actually 2 screws over here. And like at the front, the tears on the costume are all painted. The figure doesn't have much articulation, neck swivel. The arms can rotate all around and can be lifted up this much, a bit loose as you can see. And when it comes to bringing it down, you need to kind of like bring it to the front like this, then it can go a bit closer to the body. This is the maximum it can get to the body. For the other side, you can't even get it any closer than this. Single hinge elbow joint with all the visible screws. The thigh joints allow a straight split, and forward this much. And here's the single hinge knee joint. No ankle articulation. The right foot is kind of done awkwardly because it kind of bent inwards. So yeah, you can see that it is bending inwards and make the figure look kind of awkward when it stands. For the base, this is the best base out of the 3. Quite decent sculpt on it, although the plastic quality feels kind of cheap, but you can't really tell if you don't have it in hand. Quite decent. The paintwork is kind of glossy, and one of the peg is broken, of course, right when I took the figure out of the packaging, still stuck on the foot of the figure. So yeah, this base is quite decent. And here is the original figure beside the bootleg. Original definitely looks awesome. The tears on the costume are all sculpted for the original. In terms of appearance of the whole figure, the bootleg does kind of like try its best to follow the original. It even has the sculpted texture on the blue parts of the costume, just like the original. At first I thought the logo was kind of low, but it's actually the same as the original. And here's a closer look of the head sculpt of the original. and bootleg. Quite similar actually. Here's the bootleg of the Battle-ravaged Spidey, and the reason why I'm holding it is that it can't stand on its own. Look at the feet, it's pointed downwards, so he's kind of like tiptoeing. Again, the sculpt of the figure is actually quite decent. You can see the web lines on the costume are sculpted. The face sculpt is also actually quite decent. The tear is painted, just like on the previous bootleg figure. And also the same two screws, just like the other figure. The spider logo at the back is also not painted. They really went for a heavy black wash on this figure. The web lines are not painted black, but yeah, the black wash is really all over the red parts, including the boots. And it does feel kind of sticky compared to the previous figure, which doesn't feel sticky at all. The neck is also permanently looking upwards like this. So I guess this figure is meant to just be on this dio, so that he's kind of leaning forward and he'll be looking in front. Articulation of the figure is just the same. Neck swivel, arms go around and goes up this much. Same thing. If you want to bring the arms closer to the body, you need to bring it front, then bring it down. Otherwise, if you just bring it down straight like this, you can't. Single hinge elbow joint with the visible screw. Straight split. The legs can go up to the front this much. And single hinge knee joint. I don't have the original version of this Toybiz Spidey, but I do have this one, so yeah, I'll just put it side by side. You can see the height is about the same. Nothing much to this, except that it really can't stand on its own. Here is the base. I don't have the original to compare with, but I do remember that on the original, the arms is able to be lifted upwards. And it's definitely not cartoon looking like this. This is really kind of bad. And look at this, really rectangular on the mouth over here. Doesn't really look good at all. And last but not least, the only one that can stand, the bootleg Daredevil from the Spider-Man Classics series. And this figure is missing the other end of his weapon. The D is printed very clearly and the head sculpt is quite decent. At the back of it, the same two screws. And here's the pouch for the weapon. Only this much can go in. The articulation is the same as the previous two figures. And here is the base. Again, cheap looking like the lizard base of the previous figure. Here is the original compared to the bootleg. Since this is really just plain red, I think that's why the bootleg is kind of easy to copy. The original head is definitely better, but the bootleg isn't too bad at all. So, these bootleg figures are really bad. The only thing that I'm going to keep out of all this is this base over here. You can't even salvage any parts for custom. Even the head can't be used because it is sculpted to the neck. There's no way for you to modify it to attach it to an original Marvel Legends figure. Thanks for watching. Do check out my other Marvel Legends reviews and bootleg comparison at my channel.